lovely Friday evening, everybody. Chris McDonald with you on the 17th day of May, 2024. I am chewing on a Skittle tonight because it's a Skittle kind of night, and we're grateful to have you. And we're going to be wrapping up the week with some headlines like we did last night. And we may look at a few of those Branko cartoons again we looked at last night for those that wasn't here with us. But it's good to see everybody on X. Good to see everybody on Facebook tonight. We'll take your questions at the end and so forth. We're grateful to have you. Did you hear? Did you hear today? Speaking of Skittles and Catfights, that's the name of the show tonight. I should have named the show Skittles and Catfights. I'd have probably got more likes than I've got. I need to start. I gotta hire me some teenager. KK's good. He's quirky about this kind of stuff. I got to get my son involved with these cool titles. He's always got a cool comeback when I rag on him a little bit sometimes. He always does me with a sarcastic comeback, and I'm saying, "You too much like your dad." And he just sits there and laughs. But I got to get him to I got to up my game with these titles because people get attracted to the crazy stuff and so forth. But I'm going to start the show tonight. I've got a lot of headlines, but I'm going to go to a blank screen just for a second. And I got to show you what happened today in Congress. Most of you have probably seen it already. Some of you have not. But this is the United States House of Representatives, folks. This is the freaking House of the United States Representatives, and how they handle things between discussions, and you just gotta love it. You just gotta love it. Poor James Comer, and Rankin is beside him, who's a jerk. But anyway, Comer was trying to discuss the impeachment of the coming contempt charge against Merrick Garland. Things got a little dicey in Congress. Roll the tape.
1 second.
Watch this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're here tonight to hold Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress, and there has been complaint and complaint after complaint from the other side of the aisle. Now, I'd like to remind everyone that the American taxpayers were forced to pay millions and millions of dollars for the January 6th committee last Congress, who was convened during prime time, evening hours, and they hired an ABC News executive, James Goldston, to produce these committee hearings. Actually had the American taxpayers pay for this. And Democrats are complaining about our committee hearing this evening. I'd also like to remind everyone that during the 117th Congress, we would vote until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, many, many times, late at night. And that was when Democrats controlled the House. But the worst thing about the January 6th committee is that the Speaker broke her own rules. When she produced this committee, created the committee, the minority leader appointed members of Congress to this committee, and they were denied being able to participate on the January 6th committee. This committee operated against the rules of Congress. It was procedurally defective. And today, right now, Peter Navarro is sitting in jail because he was held in contempt of Congress. And also, Steve Bannon has been held in contempt of Congress and could go to jail soon. Those are the consequences of when the Democrats controlled the House. They broke the rules. And the consequences are people have gone to jail, and they may soon go to jail. And tonight, we're here to hold Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress. And this committee needs to be able to proceed forward to do that.
That's
I'd
Tim
also like
Burkett
to
to
remind
her
the committee and anyone watching this
left right there
every
from my
single
state.
time we hold a committee hearing and oversight committee, the Democrats attack President Trump repeatedly. Doesn't matter what the issue is, doesn't matter what the topic is. They can't produce facts. They can't produce anything to make their arguments. They make it about personal character attacks on the former president of the United States and our Republican presidential candidate. Every single time they attack President Trump. They think the way to win an argument is to attack President Trump. You talk about character attacks, it goes on and on. Also, members of this committee attack me repeatedly, over and over and over again, constantly. But they're offended when I say something back. And I think this needs to be called out, Mr. Chairman, because the hypocrisy is screaming and the American people watch it every single day. And I will not apologize for my words, and I will not change them. And I will not tolerate being treated this way constantly on this committee and in other committees. And I think that we need, if we're going to hold hearings like this and hold Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress, I think we should move forward and go ahead and do that. But the actual behavior that happens across the aisle in this committee of constant attacks on
2 more
President
minutes. It
Trump
gets better. The good stuff's about to hit. So
and attacks on
just
President
be patient.
Trump, the weaponized government against President Trump. I want you to know something. He may be sitting in a New York courtroom with a sham trial with a political judge whose daughter works for Democrats. But I'll tell you right now, President Trump is up 10 points in Georgia because the American people see this for exactly what it is. They know what it is, and it's completely wrong. And the fact that our American people's hard-earned tax dollars were spent on the January 6th committee with no accountability is wrong too. I think Democrats should be held accountable for that and the wrongs that they've committed, and the fact that Peter Navarro is in jail right now and Steve Bannon may have to go to jail soon. And Mr. Chairman, I would ask that we can go ahead and move forward as soon as possible to hold Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress. Thank you.
Lady yields. Does any other?
Okay, that was Marjorie Greene's comment. It didn't stop there, because the ladies on the left, not the View, but the ladies in Congress took issue with that. And then the fireworks started. Roll the tape.
Do you know what we're here for? You know we're here about AG.
I don't think you know what you're here for.
Well, you the one talking about.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No, ain't nothing.
Hold on.
Listen.
Order,
Mr. Chairman.
That's beneath even
order of your committee.
Order.
I do have a point of order, and I would like to move to take down Ms. Greene's words. That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack the physical appearance of another person?
Are your feelings hurt?
Her words down.
Aw.
Oh, girl, baby girl.
Oh, really?
Don't even play.
Baby girl? I don't think
we are going to move, and we're going to take your words down.
I second that motion.
So, you agree to strike your words?
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Greene agrees to strike her words.
I believe she
Chair
was
recognizes-
apologizing. No.
Apologize?
Hold on. Then
AOC,
after
are you
Mr. Perez
serious?
will be recognized, then Ms. Green
I'm not
has 4 minutes and
apologizing.
21
Well, then
seconds.
you're
reserve
not
the right to
striking your
object.
words.
I am
Mr.
not
Kerr.
apologizing.
Now let's go. Come on, guys.
It's me.
Ms. Crockett.
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging personalities, correct?
Even Rankin is like,
Chairman, I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's a
Hold on.
part
I'm
of it.
trying to find clarification on what qualifies.
Chairman,
I didn't-
motion to
I had
strike
no
those
idea
words.
what you just said.
We're not gonna do this. Look, you guys earlier literally just said
You
Y'all did it
just
first.
voted to do
Y'all did it
it.
first, so you don't
just
want to
voted to do it.
Order.
I'm trying to get clarification.
Look at calm down.
No, because this is what
like
y'all
to get
do.
through proceedings.
So I'm trying
Hey,
to
Ms.
get
Crockett,
clarification.
you're not recognized.
and that was today in the House of Representatives. And, wow, what a great, just absolutely great display of American values and America first values there, folks. That went on. That was not the World Wrestling Federation on TNT tonight. That was Marjorie Taylor Greene and AOC and that Crockett woman sort of brushing up and throwing insults in the House. How many of you saw that? If you saw that today and was aware of that, put put a thumbs up in there. We're going to talk about that. I'll get your take on that in a little bit at the end of the show tonight. I'll get your take on that. But my goodness gracious, I've got a lot to say about it. I'll save my comments for later because I don't want my channel to get yanked down. But anyway, okay, all right, we'll come back to that later. I just wanted to sort of get the show's tone set for tonight on this Friday night wrap up. My goodness gracious, That was, Clown Show is right. Susan, it's more than tragic. It's a joke. I think Cedric's got the point. Cedric is right. It's a joke. It's a joke. Congress has become a joke. And this is what we're paying people. This is what we elect people to do, to go up there and pass laws. But this is what they do. And AOC wanting an apology, for God's sake. I could say something very ugly, but I won't. I'll just leave it. I'll leave that one alone for right now. Where's Tony Branco when I need him to make me a great cartoon? I can't wait for Branco's take on this. I'm going to call him up Monday. And I'm going to say, when you get that cartoon ready, let me know. Let me get a first-hand exclusive of it. I'll show it on the McFiles Monday night. We're going to try to get James R. on late, because I know James probably got a lot to say about this. But, oh, my goodness, man. That was today. I think it was the 16th. It was yesterday. That was yesterday. So we're going to... sophomoric. Yeah, that's about it, Emelina. That's about it. But anyway, so we'll move on from this. I got other fish to fry tonight, but I wanted you to see that. We'll get your take on that at the end. This story is a faith story, and I'm going to just deal with it. I dealt with it this morning on the Faith Network. I want to mention it tonight. You got a pastor out there, this Matt Chandler of the Village Church in Flower Mound. He shared what he believes that the mark of the beast, as mentioned in the Bible in Revelation 13, is active even now. He spoke on the mark, and that people his age view as a credit card, a phone, and a chip embedded in people's hands. In his view, however, Chandler says the perspective is to miss the point that's being made in Revelation. And let's see, there's Mr. Chandler there. He says the perfect number is number 7. So if 7 is complete, 6 is incomplete. We also know that the number 3 means complete. 666, the mark of the beast, is really to show the work of the enemy. 3 6s. The mark of the beast is not Elon Musk putting something in our brains or something like that. He said that it represents an ideological belief, and the number on people's hands depict the practice of that belief. And he went on to say that that mark of the beast is currently active in society. And he says, I think the way you're seeing this today is that we are certain, especially in the business community, beliefs you must have in order to participate in the economy, and I think it's going to get worse. And he says that he believes that the mark of the beast is active now in this moment of history. I'm going to just say this about Mr. Chandler's comments. I'll come back over here. This is not a face show on a Friday night, but I'm going to just say it to you straight up, folks. I understand. When I first saw the article, when I first saw the headline, I was holding my breath, because there's a bunch of crazies out there. And that's what they are, folks. They're just spiritually moronic crazy. That believes that when the coconut jab was being passed around back in 2011 or 2021 and 2020, that anybody that took that coconut cake was doomed to hell forever, and they were going to burn in the pit because that was a mark of the beast. It was a lot of Christians, even those that didn't take the mark, that was judging and condemning people to hell for doing it. And it was wrong. We shouldn't have done it. Nobody should have condemned anybody. I know that the other side was doing the same, and that's another discussion for another time. But it was no way whatsoever related to the mark of the beast. There's nothing that is going on right now that is the mark of the beast. We're not living in the tribulation period. We're not living in the seal judgments. We're not living in the trumpet judgments. We're not living in the vial judgments. The 2 witnesses haven't appeared. We haven't seen 3 angels flying around in the heavens, as recorded in the book of Revelation, warning the earth about certain things, warning the earth about the mark of the beast, warning the earth about the fall of Babylon, preaching the everlasting gospel in the skies where every man can see the angels. We ain't seen that yet. We haven't seen a man of sin rise called the Antichrist. We ain't seen a false prophet arise called the Antichrist. We ain't seen Israel attacked in the midpoint of the Great Tribulation after the man of sin breaks the peace covenant. And I could go on and on and on, and I'll go on about this Wednesday night. I encourage you to be with me Wednesday night. But let me make it clear, just in case there's some spiritual crazies listening to me tonight on this Friday night. And folks, this is my news network, and I can just say it like I say it. I'm not as dignified on my news network sometimes as I am the faith, because I try to be a little nicer, but I'm not being nice tonight, so I'm just going to say it like it is. For you spiritual crazies out there that are running around posting on your Facebook pages and on your Twitter handles and on your YouTube channels that the mark of the beast is going on tonight, please stop for the sake of somebody not putting you in a mental institution with a straitjacket. Please stop. There's nothing, folks, that is going on tonight that is even close to the mark of the beast. Now, I understand, after reading Mr. Chandler's comments, what he's trying to say. I think what he's trying to say, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but what he's trying to say is that the spirit of that mark is going around now, and I tend to disagree with that even to that degree too. But I do understand where he's coming from, but he's flat wrong. Look, this mark is a physical mark. It is a physical mark that will be put on people to pledge allegiance to the beast. And it has everything to do, folks, with Satan's final plan to destroy God's plan for man, God's plan for Israel. It has to do with Israel. The church is not involved in this. The church will be raptured out before the tribulation. That is our opinion. We believe the Bible says that. We believe the Bible teaches that. We teach that. We firmly stand firm to that. And all this mockery and all of this unbelief about it tonight is not going to change that. Now, if you want to lose sleep tonight and be afraid that somehow or another you accidentally took the mark of the beast by going to the checkout counter at Kroger and getting one of those things from Kroger and the receipt that you had, or if they give you some kind of weird thing from Kroger, or they give you some kind of grocery at the grocery store and you say, well, that's just stupid, Chris. Of course it's stupid, folks, but people believe this stuff. They believe it. I'm not scolding anybody tonight, but I'm trying to keep some folks off the ledge, because when pastors go out and say this kind of stuff, it gets people freaked out. And preachers who don't know the Bible would be better off to just be quiet. And I'd say something else, but I'll just be nice tonight. Just be quiet. But don't believe this stuff. Don't believe this stuff. Don't believe this stuff. That's why we have morning Bible studies here on the McFiles Faith Network. We're teaching on the end times in the mornings. We're teaching on the end times on Wednesday night. And sometimes we teach on it on Sunday night, because we don't want people jumping off ledges and believing if they breathe in an Alka-Seltzer, they've taken the mark of the beast. We don't want people believing that we're living in the trumpet judgments, or we're living in the seal judgments, or we're living in the vial judgments. We're not living in any of it. We're living at the end of the church age, folks. We are in the church age. And Cedric, your comment about a joke of Congress, the church has become a joke too. The way it teaches things and the way it makes people believe things that are not true. And again, this is not a scold to Mr. Crockett. I understand where he's coming from, but he is wrong. I'm not even calling him out on it. He can teach what he wants to teach. He can say what he wants to say. The headline, the way it was presented, is false. We are not living in the time of the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast of Revelation 13 is something that will take place in the midpoint of the tribulation period. Are we good tonight? If we're good on that, give me a thumbs up. Thank you, Monica Graham. She already gave me a thumbs up. If we're good on that, say amen somebody on a Friday night. This ain't our faith show, but I felt like that was worth discussing. And I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. Next article tonight. I had to laugh at this one. I had to take a double take. And Catholics, it's just one of those nights on a Friday night. I'm going to get myself in so much trouble before this night's out. Pope Francis has chimed in on conservatives. And he says that we have a quote-unquote suicidal attitude. And Chris ain't making this up, Catholics, so don't be saying, oh, Chris is going after the Catholics again. No, I'm just quoting your leader. He told CBS anchor Noah O'Donnell that conservatives are willfully blind and manifest a suicidal attitude in their narrow-mindedness. In an interview set to air Sunday on 60 Minutes, the Pope asserts that a conservative is someone who clings to something and does not want to see beyond that. It is suicidal. It is a suicidal attitude. One thing is to take tradition into account and consider situations from the past, but quite another to be closed up inside a dogmatic box. And I did not listen to the attitude. I did not listen to the interview. I did not listen to the interview, but I got a feeling that he's going after pro-life people that believe that killing a baby is murder, that homosexuality is a sin, that our borders being overrun by illegals is lawlessness, that, that's the church. Anti-abortion, yeah, exactly, Cleo, anti-abortion is suicidal. I'm sure that he would think somebody that says Jesus is the only way to heaven is suicidal. I'm sure that he would believe that if I told him, Mr. Pope, you're not the head of the church, you're not the church, the Catholic Church is not the church, it's not the true church of Jesus Christ, I guess that'd be suicidal. If the Pope, he wants to say that that we go to confess to priest and instead of going to confess to God is narrow-minded, then I guess I'm suicidal. But it's insulting, folks, to what he's saying. And this is interesting, he had never sat down before for an extensive interview one-on-one with the U.S. television network in all of his 11 years until this weekend. And this is what he's saying. He has never hidden his disdain for Americans, and in August 2023, he publicly lamented the backwardism of his own faith. Catholics, listen to me. Your leader don't like you. He hates you. He's bombarding you. He is narrowing his comments down to conservative Catholics in the United States. There's your leader right there. There's your leader. And I shouldn't be saying it like that, but it blows me away. The situation, he says, is not easy in the United States, where there's a strong reactionary attitude. He told a group of Jesuits recently, it is organized and shapes the way people belong, even emotionally. I would like to remind those people that backwardism is useless. And we need to understand that there is an appropriate evolution, there's that word, evolution, in the understanding of matters of faith and morals. Our understanding of the human person changes with time, and our consciousness also deepens. The other sciences and their evolution also help the church in this growth and understanding. Folks, what he's saying there, he's basically saying that every false religion, every damnable false religion, every damnable heresy, every sect, every belief out there, whether it's right or wrong, 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 is going to help the church in their understanding. It's not. It's not. It's going to lead the church straight to hell. And I'm going to make it clear tonight, folks. The Catholic Church ain't the true church of Jesus Christ. And the Pope ain't the head of the church. It has nothing to do with where he's from. I don't care if he's from Argentina, Peru, Lima, Peru, under the table, over the table. I don't care if he's Republican, MAGA, Marxist, socialist. He is a wicked, unbelieving individual who needs Jesus tonight, and we need to pray for him. But Catholics, I love you, and let me tell you this, that's your leader, that's your de facto leader, and it's his anger and his comments are not even directed at us that are outside the Catholic Church as much as he is directing his comments to you. He has a disdain for his own people. I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to get all wired up tonight on a Friday night. But I thought that was very interesting, his definition of backwardism and narrow-mindedness. And if you believe Jesus is the only way to heaven tonight, you are manifesting a suicidal attitude. All righty. Whatever. 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 Whatever, whatever, whatever. All righty, another interesting story tonight. We got several of these. KC Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker tonight, who stood up for his Christian faith, and I'm sure he would be considered suicidal by the Pope. And the guy up top in the commercial, I'm sorry, Breitbart doesn't stop the commercials. He's pointing to the almonds or pistachios. I need that pointer right there sometimes on my morning Bible study. I need his finger to point to the scripture. Very good. But anyway, as woke leftists and the Pope continue their attack on Kansas City Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker for defending traditional Christian values. By the way, he stood up for Israel, folks. This is what they were talking about. He stood up for Israel, and he was basically coming out against these protests against God's chosen people. He says he's found some support from his boss's wife, Tavia Hunt. Butler has been attacked for delivering the commencement address for Benedictine College in Kansas and urging the graduates to stick with traditional Christian ideals of marriage, family, and fidelity. He urged the female grads to put family life above a career and told the males to embrace their masculinity. Wow, what a novel concept. He added that his own wife would say that her life as a wife and mother was far more fulfilling than a career would be. I want to say something about that because there was a well-known actress, and I don't want to name her tonight, but she divorced her husband of 12 years because he wanted kids. And she told him that she would rather further her career than have children. And it became so destructive that she elected to go through the divorce route instead of stay with him and have children. So it is what it is. But we got to hurry on tonight, but I want to just salute Mr. Butker, and I really think that he did the right thing, and I appreciate what he said, and I hope that he stands firm, and I'm thankful that his owner's wife stood up for him. He ripped Joe Biden as being delusional. He said, quote, he's been so vocal in his support for the murder of the innocent babies that I'm sure too many people, it appears, you can be both Catholic and pro-choice. By the way, Catholics, I love you tonight. This ain't a Catholic bash, folks. We're getting off this in a minute. But I'm just telling you, your leader claims somebody like Harrison Butker is suicidal. Because in Harrison Buckner's mind, you can't be Catholic and pro-choice. But in the Pope's mind, that's backwardism. And that's narrow-mindedness. And that's suicidal. Salute to Harrison Butker. I don't have a lot of good things to say about the NFL these days, and I'm not a Kansas City Chiefs fan, but I may have to rethink that because of Harrison Butker. He's a good guy. And I'm proud of what he said. And we need about 1 million like him out there saying what he needs to say to our kids. All righty. Now, other stories, as we get off these stories, we got something other to talk about tonight. But you hear about this? The guy that attacked Mr. Pelosi, not Miss Pelosi, but Mr. Pelosi, got sentenced today to 30 years in prison. The prosecution was wanting 40 years in prison for this attack. In November 2023, the jury convicted David Dupape of attacking Paul Pelosi with a hammer at the Pelosi's residence in California. The jury was also, he also found that he was guilty of attempting to kidnap Nancy, even though she was not at home at the time. Who in their right mind would want to kidnap Nancy Pelosi? Lord of mercy. DePape's sentencing came after the Department of Justice wrote a letter on May the 10th saying that a sentence of 30 years was not even sufficient to meet the sentencing goals. Folks, listen to me. I got something to say about this. I'm not going to get into whether what he did was right or wrong, folks. If what he did was wrong, he shouldn't attack Mr. Pelosi. It was a hideous crime. Can I tell you something tonight, folks? Murderers in this country don't get 30 years. Murderers in this country don't get 30 years. They don't get 30 years in this country. And I'm going to tell you something else. The Black Lives Matter bunch that burned cities to the ground, killed innocent people on the street, hurt innocent people, Antifa, they didn't get 30 years. And just to be brutally McFile Friday night honest with you, we're among friends here tonight, I think, for the most part. I can tell you right now, I'm not saying that attacking Paul Pelosi with a hammer was right. It wasn't. Breaking into somebody's home was not. And if he did seek to kidnap Miss Pelosi, then, you know, he needs to be sentenced appropriately. But I can tell you right now, our country is so lawless that a man that attacks somebody with a hammer is going to get 30 years, and a woman that kills a baby will get 0 years, and somebody that burns a city down and breaks property, and these protesters on these campuses that are hurting Jewish students and threatening them and making murderous threats and putting Antifa flags out and putting Intifada signs out that's basically calling for the extermination of the Jews. If they're not going to get 30 years, David the Pape don't deserve 30 years either. Now, that's my opinion. You ain't got to agree with that. But the McFiles always says this. These opinions are mine. We'll let you talk about that too later. We'll get your thoughts on it. But I have to call bullshit on that. By the way, just a reminder, we spoke about this last night. I think James Akers talked about this, and we're going to be dealing with this next week because get your seatbelts on. It's election year. They're gonna find something to spook us. And guess what's happening? This is out of Breitbart. The bird flu. You're going to hear a lot about the bird flu. Bird flu, bird flu, bird flu, bird flu, bird flu. Fear-mongering. Prompts to spike in survival B cells. By the way, I got to say something. Going back to the 666 thing. These folks out there, folks, that are trying to find 666 and everything. If somebody walks down the street, we got a Lord of mercy. We'll go back to Prince Charles, but I'll save that comment. But the fear-mongering over the bird flu is prompting a spike in what Breitbart calls survival B cells. And this came out of the Prepper All Naturals. Mainstream media has been covering bird flu incessantly for weeks. It has been compared to the COVID-19 and even the bubonic plague, with talking head doctors practically declaring it to be the next pandemic. Now, whether their concern is real or part of an election year operation is debatable. But what has become crystal clear is that Americans are viewing the sudden bird flu attention from government agencies as a reason to stock up on long-term storage beef. The beef industry is undeniably under attack, said J.D. Rucker. He's the CEO of Prepper All Naturals. Whatever risk, if any, the bird flu poses to cattle and thereby to beef-eating humans is being amplified 10 times or more. Cases of bird flu found in cattle are minimal, folks, and diagnosed cases in humans are extremely rare. But everyone from the CDC to the FDA are using mainstream corporate media to spread fear and false information among consumers. Many people are turning to companies like Prepper All Naturals to stock up on shelf-stable beef, but according to Rucker, these customers are less worried about the bird flu and more concerned about the future actions that are going to be taken by the government, guess what? Against beef. So just get your seatbelt on. Remember, you heard it tonight on the 7th day of May. You're going to hear a lot about this summer. It's going to be the next thing, the next fad, the next scare, the next fear. When we talk to customers who are buying our freeze-dried beefsteaks in bulk, their biggest concern is that the government is making a play to either limit access to all American beef or to eliminate it from our diets altogether. I wouldn't doubt that that's what they're going to do. We'll talk about this too. We'll get your take on this as well here at the end. All righty. Did you hear about this? I'm not going to play the video. I'm just going to mention this. Newly emerged security videos came out tonight of a 2016 attack by Sean Pimp Diddy Combs. Pip Diddy, I guess is what you call him. He's a Pip Diddy, all right. He brutally beat his then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in an incident that reportedly took place in 2016. The video was obtained by CNN, and it was part of a civil lawsuit between Diddy and Ventura. I only mention this tonight with a question, and I'll get your take on this. It's why now? This happened 8 years ago, And I'm no fan of Pip Diddy. I don't listen to his music. I don't know him. I don't care for him as far as that. I pray for his soul. I pray for everybody's soul. But it makes me wonder why. Why now? Why bring it out now? It was dated March the 15th. And he beat his girlfriend, folks. But again, that's the world of Hollywood. That's the world of rap music. That is the world without God. And it should not surprise us that that happens. Biden, we talked about the debates last night. We'll get your take on this. He don't want any more games with Trump, and he is not going to debate any more than the 2 debates that is going to take place on ABC and CNN. And Trump had even accepted a 4th debate against Crooked Joe, this time with NBC and Telemundo. I would have never done that. It looks like there has been a 3rd debate accepted by Biden with Fox. He has agreed to go on with Fox. And the vice presidential debate will be at another venue in Virginia that will be named later. And so we got 3 debates. We got ABC, CNN, and we have got Fox. One will be in June. The first one's June 27th, just a month and 10 days from tonight. So interesting. But no more games, says Sleepy Joe. Okay, Joe, whatever. Whatever. Get AOC. She'll get Trump to apologize for debating him. This is a very brutal story, folks, and you may have children tonight. You may not want them to be around the network right now. This is a story. I saw this on Laura Ingraham tonight and did some research on it. And I wanted to mention it. This is what they're doing to your kids. This is out of the Daily Mail. And this is coming to us from California tonight. California parents have blasted a school for giving 5th graders transgender book. Quote, "My shadow is pink." And that is not where it stopped. They forced these kids then to take it to their buddies in kindergarten and explain the book. Let me read you the article. A California dad has blasted his son's schools for giving the child a book about a transgender boy, then allegedly forcing him to explain it to kindergartners. Carlos Encinas, an 11-year-old kid, was assigned to read a book called My Shadow is Pink in his 5th grade class on that's just this month, just 2 weeks ago, folks, at La Costa Heights Elementary in Carlsbad, north of San Diego. The book centers around a boy who describes his father's shadow as big and blue and his dilemma with his own shadow, which he feels is pink. And you can see the cover of the book. My heart skips a beat as I put on a dress, the main character says in the book, while wearing a gown, while his shade is a feminine color. And you can see the little illustration there. He claims the school, I'll tell you what the school says about it. My shadow loves ponies and books and pink toys, princesses and fairies and things not for boys. The book talks about other people's shadows. Her shadow, she hides it, her shadow like girls. After Encina's 11-year-old read the book in his own class, the 5th graders were then told that they would be sharing the story with their buddy class, a class of kindergartners, that the 5th graders read to and mentor. That's actually where he felt the most uncomfortable, Encina said of his son. These little kids look up to them. They are with them twice a month. Encinas and his wife reached out to the school asking why parents were not notified that their kids would be reading this book and sharing it with even younger kids. The couple decided to share their son's experience on their own social media to let parents know what was happening, and that's when the fire started. There's Mr. Encinas right there. The parents said they just wanted future notification of sensitive topics and an option for their kids not to participate. Carlos's video has been shared by many people, including liberal and conservative activists. The liberals hate him. The conservatives are putting it out there. The principal got involved yesterday. They called the Daily Mail, and this is what he said. Now, this is the school system, and this is what infuriates me. This is what infuriates me. Quote, "I was hoping that they called would be conciliatory or have some sort of a maybe we could do better. You should have notified. Zero. It was more about her trying to understand how my video was making their teachers feel unsafe." Carlos said the principals denied the book. Actually, he's speaking. That's Carlos's take on the principal's call to the couple, but there was no conciliatory call. It was basically that they were denying that the book was about transgender. He said the principal denied the book was about being transgender, and instead it was about identity and being inclusive. Folks, this is being targeted to 5th graders and below. Additionally, he claims the school told them they would not receive further notification on books on the same topics and that the child could not opt out. In other words, the school is basically doubling down and saying, if your kid is attending this school, they're going to have to read the book and other books like My Shadow is Pink. He says, while they've gotten plenty of support from many circles at their elementary school, the Encinas feel they have also been retaliated against for speaking out. Jenny, Carlos's wife, says she's being attacked by other moms at the schools. The PTA president organized a Pink Out the Hate event, as in We Are Hateful, and in support of the book. He said, it has made me physically sick. My younger son wouldn't go to school. My older son was brave enough to go, but he came home feeling like everyone wearing pink is against me. The school district did not immediately return a request for comment. Of course they don't. They're always cowards. They always hide behind this stuff. It makes me infernally mad. We've been called racist. I'm Hispanic, Carlos said. We've been told we're anti-LGBT. We don't hate anyone. We don't want them to feel excluded. We just want to know parents to know what their child is reading in school. Wasn't the school doubling down on its position not to notify parents about controversial topics? The Encinas are considering moving their children to a private school. I would strongly suggest that, sir. We're going to get your take on this. This is a biggie tonight. This is a biggie tonight, folks. This is what's going on in the good old US of A. There's a picture right there. You can see it. The man in the dad, what I understand about the book, at the end of the book, the dad puts on a pink dress to make the son feel inclusive. And the book also includes a reference to a woman's shadow. Her shadow, she hides that her shadow likes girls. In other words, it sort of indicates the shadow likes girls. There's a NBC series coming out called Queer Planet. And the series is going to highlight nature and some of the, and I'm just using their word, folks, not mine. And again, please don't take offense. We're not signaling out anybody tonight and calling anybody out. But this grotesque series is basically about animals. And they're going to go highlight the fact that nature basically supports homosexuality. And that's what they're going to do. And it's very sad. It's very, very, very sad. And we need to talk about that. We're going to get your take on this here in a minute. And but that's happening, folks. Not anywhere else but the good old US of A. Daily Mail Online. You can go to there and see that story. I want to read this article right here. It's out of the New York Post tonight. And it's a great one. It says, don't buy Rashid Tlaib and Company's lie. And we'll wrap it up and take your questions after this. From the river to the sea has always meant erasing Israel. In English, protesters call for Palestine to be free. But when their chants shift to Arabic, they often call for the whole of Palestine to be Arab. Explicit call and an explicit call to dismantle the Jewish state and dispossess its people. A video from February shows a crowd gathered on the steps of Harvard's venerable Widener Library. A woman with a bullhorn is teaching the group to chant, Mina Lamaya Lamia, Palestine Arabia. The literal translation from that is, quote, from the water of the River Jordan to the water of the Mediterranean, Palestine is Arab. At MIT last week, another bullhorn-wielding protester led the crowd in exactly the same chant, then improvised a new ending that says, Almawat Leshanuaya, which means death to Zionism. Some of these American anti-Semites would eat that up. I'm surprised one certain anti-Semite I'm thinking about that tried to sell you snake venom water don't have that on his Twitter handle tonight. There's a campaign afoot to persuade Americans that from the river to the sea is not a call to erase Israel from the map. Representative Rashida Tlaib, the Palestinian American from Michigan, called the slogan, quote, an aspirational call for freedom, human rights, and peaceful coexistence. The Arab American Anti-Discrimination Committee likewise insists it's a demand for democratic coexistence between Jews and Arabs. This is a willful distortion of history, which shows that the animating purpose of the slogan is to reject Jewish control of any sliver of land between the Jordan and the Mediterranean. The phrase has its origins in the days of the Palestinian national movement in the 1960s, though early examples of its usage remain elusive. In 1980, Yasser Arafat declared the victorious march will continue until the flag of Palestine is raised above Jerusalem and above the whole area of Palestine from the river to the sea. That little area right there, folks, that is where that comes from, right there. From the river to the sea. That is a quote from Yasser Arafat, the late Yasser Arafat, who is now gone to the great, whatever, where he's ever at, river to the sea. That's where it came from. The flag of Israel would have no place. When Arafat led his Fatah Party and the PLO into a peace process with Israel in the 90s, his critics deployed the slogan to signal their complete rejection of Arafat's readiness to compromise on this about Israel's existence. And then when he was released from prison in 1997, Sheikh Ahmad Yassin, the founder of Hamas, told his followers Palestine is still occupied and the Hamas will not stop until the holy war, or not stop the holy war until the liberation of all Palestine from the river to the sea. In 2003, Yassin's deputy, Abi Azi al-Ratisi, led 100,000 demonstrators in a pledge to continue their jihad from Palestine until Palestine reached from the river to the sea. A few more sentences, then we're going to wrap it up and take your questions. Leaders who did favor negotiations even described from the river to the sea as the position they rejected because of its excessive ambition. And then finally, Abdullah Darwish, the late Arab-Israeli leader, said in 1993, every Hamas backer has the right to dream of a Palestine from the river to the sea, but that is unrealistic, while Palestinians understand that Israel could not exist if their state occupied all the land between the river and the sea. Protesters on American campuses began to dispute the plain meaning of the slogan as early as 2003, and they continue, and there's this article and all. We have posted this article. In our Telegram room. We encourage you to read it and so forth. And there's Mr. Comer again. I got to give my buddy Jason Miller a heads up and a shout out, a high five, a big hug. I appreciate Miller more than he'll ever know. I think Dennis Miller's got nothing on Jason Miller. He sent me this. I'm going to get a t-shirt with this. I'm going to try to get this embedded on a t-shirt, just like it says there. From the river to the sea, this is the only flag that you're going to see. This is the only flag you're going to see. And I'll just leave it at that. That is going to stretch from the Mediterranean, not to the Jordan, folks. It's going to stretch to the Euphrates. Because let me tell you something. That's the land grant of Genesis 12 and Genesis 13 and Genesis 14 and Genesis 17 and Genesis 21. It's the land grant God spoke to Joshua. It's the land grant that God gave to Moses. And Israel will one day possess it again. She will not possess it until the end of the Great Tribulation period, but she will inherit that land again. That is not going to be given to the Palestinians. It never has been ordained to be given to the Palestinians, and it never will be. And it would be wise for the Palestinians to wise up and understand the God of Israel has mercy for them, just like he has mercy for Israel if they will accept him. But if they refuse to accept him and continue to embark upon this jihadism against Israel and God's chosen land, they're going to come up against the God of heaven. And there's verses in the Bible that indicate the end of all this. And the Arabs will be reconciled to God just like the Jews will, but there's going to be a lot of bloodshed and a lot of death in between. But that Palestinian state is not going to ever happen, folks. Mark my word tonight. It's not going to happen. But anyway, I'll leave it at that. All right. Listen, that's our stories for tonight. We've got several stories. If you've got a question or you've got anything you want to share with us tonight, we'll be glad to put it in the house. If you got a question about the Pope's comments, if you got a question about the Margie Taylory brush up with Miss Crockett, the World Wrestling Federation video from Congress today, if you got a question. Liz, the snake venom water, we had people believing that that the government was putting snake venom in water, and certain individuals were selling water purifiers to get people to believe, because they were believing their water was poisoned by snake venom. And it was a bunch of crap. It was a bunch of garbage, because it wasn't happening. It didn't exist. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. But people believed it, just like people believe that the mark of the beast is going on tonight. I don't know what people are doing with this, because if anybody knows the Bible, the mark of the beast damns your soul to hell forever. So I don't know what people are doing with that. But the snake water venom is a good example of how fear-mongering, and it ties into the bird flu, because people are being convinced to be fear-mongering about this bird flu right now, and that's going to continue. I guarantee it. It's going to continue. We got an election year, and they're going to keep doing it. They'll keep doing it. Got a question? If you've got a statement tonight, we're good to see everybody. We really are. And what do you think about the Pope's comments? Let's take the Pope's comments first. If you got any comment about any topic, and so forth. Corey, you're right. Pelosi's attacker messed with the wrong people, Democrats. You can attack the Democrats and get 30 years. If that had been a Republican, he wouldn't even got a slap on the wrist, you know. Mess with the wrong people, Democrats. You know, he wouldn't even got a slap on the wrist, probably. But you're absolutely right, friend. You're absolutely right. If you got any comments tonight, any statements, we got about 10 minutes, and we're going to wrap it up for the week. Have you enjoyed these new shows this week? It's been a little different format. We visited with the Golden Beautiful Gate Christian Academy this week, and I've enjoyed doing these. And I told our K-Star Media folks that we're going to basically download these as MP3s and use these as maybe some of the first week's backup shows on the network there, because some of these stories will still be relevant even when we get going there. But if you got a statement, what are your thoughts on the Pope tonight? Telling us that we are suicidal. I'll read some of the comments. He's saying he's a leftist activist. The Pope doesn't have a clue. It's more than a clue he don't have. He's a devil's advocate. Apostate. That is more the word I would say is apostate, because he lacks truth. Humanistic social justice has replaced holiness. That is true. I love Carol Smith's comments. Cleo says the justice has replaced holiness. Carol says someone should remind him that God changes not. I'll agree with that, Carol. But I don't think he believes that. If you got a question, a comment, folks, on that, if you got a comment on the bird flu, if you got a comment on anything tonight, go ahead and wrap up. What do you think about this school in California? What do you think about this school? Chris Davis says all they wanted was to get married. They said, and now look what they're after the children. If you give evil an inch, it will take 1,000,000 miles. Chris, I'm not sure what you're referring to. Who is they? Am I missing something? I'm not sure what you're referring to there. I'll agree with the second half of that. If you give evil an inch, it'll take 10 miles. I'll agree with that. Emelina says the price of eggs has risen again. Chris, do you sense this is fear-mongering because of the bird flu done on purpose? Yeah, I think all of it's on purpose, Emelina. All of it. Look, this inflation, folks, they're going to use every excuse in the world to hide their real agenda to cripple this economy. And they will use the bird flu. They will use whatever, and so forth. LGBTQ, I see what you're saying now, Chris. I get it. I'm sorry. I misunderstood you. I think I see exactly what you're saying. In other words, what Chris Davis is saying, that at the beginning, when the LGBTQ community was pushing same-sex marriage, that was what they were claiming. That was what these lawsuits were back in 2015, when this hideous lawsuit in July of that year went to the Supreme Court and they passed same-sex marriage. They said all they wanted to do was get married. And what he's saying, he said, well, look what they're after. And he said, the children, they're after the children. And that's exactly right, Chris. And I'm glad you brought that up, because you're right on target. You're absolutely right on target. Thank you, Cleo, for clarifying that. I think what he's saying is very, very, very true. Now it's went from they're just wanting to get married to indoctrinating kindergartners, folks. Indoctrinating kindergartners. Sheila Despot says school in California has lost their ever-loving mind. Yes, they have. Yes, they have. Yes, they have. They have lost their ever-loving mind. And I would say a few other things about that as well. But you're right. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Anyway, we addressed the painting, Lisa, last night of Prince Charles. I want to say this, and I thought I downloaded the tweets. We predicted this morning. That somebody would go out there and claim that Prince Charles basically was 666 and the devil. And I'm going to pull these in and I'll show you those two tweets tonight. It didn't take them long. Give me 1 second here and let me refresh this so we can get this. There we go. There's one of them right there. This is one tweet that somebody posted, and I'll just do it right here. 666, 100% proof. 100% proof. And this is their theory. The vivid red work measuring about 8 foot 6 inch by 6 feet 6 inches by Jonathan Yeo, who has also painted Tony Blair, Sir David Attenborough, and Malaya Yousafzai. So because of that painting is 666. They've got the Illuminati sign, and I'm sure Mr. whoever did this got a lot of likes and a lot of views and a lot of Twitter followers, and he wrote donut is who it was. I'll just do this. Let me do it like this. I'll just do a better job of this. I downloaded the image. Let me do a better job. I'll just show you the whole tweet and read this. Lisa, since you asked, I'll deal with it. Let's see here. There's two of them. Let me pull these in. And folks, this again is how people get carried off into things they shouldn't get carried off to. Do you see what I see? This was a duplicate portrait. King Charles III marked another first in his reign, unveiling his first official portrait of himself since his coronation last year. The portrait, which stands over 6 feet tall, was painted over the course of 3 years, 6 inches tall, 3 years, and because of that, 666, and that's by the real Jack. And then Mr. Donut here, he even goes further. He's the one I just showed you. I'll read you what his comments are, which are as stupid as his reasoning at the top. The satanic King Charles portrait looks like he's in hell, according to mainstream media. That's your first mistake, Donut, is listening to mainstream media. The painting 666 connection, it measures 8.6 feet by 6.6 inches. The painting is for 2 centuries ahead of us, which will stand out above all the paintings of ruler King Charles' blood. You know, I got to say something. I never will forget something, and I even hate to invoke Hitler's name. I remember there was a individual back in 2008. I'm no fan of John McCain, but there was an individual, and I wish I could have found it. I think the tweet had been taken down, but I remember seeing a video, and there was a guy that was showing a video of somebody. He was making fun of this tweet. John McCain had a tie, a yellow tie, on one night at one of the public things. Somebody found a color-enhanced picture of Hitler that had the same the same shade of yellow as that tie that John McCain had on. And because John McCain wore a yellow tie and Hitler wore a yellow tie, the headline was, McCain is projecting Adolf Hitler. McCain is projecting Adolf Hitler. I'm no fan of John McCain. That's how crazy it is, folks. How crazy it is. And Emelina, to be frank with you, it may look bloody. It's just a picture. When you get down to it, it's just a picture. It's just a picture, folks. I don't care what these crazy royals do. I don't care if King Charles wants to paint himself in blue, red, yellow, green, whatever. It's just a photo, folks. To be frank with you, he don't look that great. And from what I could tell, one of the videos I saw about it, he wasn't that happy with the photo to begin with. My point to you all tonight, please don't waste your time trying to figure out if that photo was projecting 666. Don't waste your energy. The time you spend wasting your time trying to figure this garbage out, you could have read the book of Ruth and read maybe even the Psalms, or maybe read the book of John, one of the Gospels. Read the Gospels through. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. The Church of the Living God's not destined to be here when 666 comes anyway. And even if it is 666, it ain't going to matter to you tonight. You don't need a painting to know what spirit he follows. Thank you, Cleo. That's exactly right. That's the point. You don't need a video to understand the spirit behind it. You don't need a video to understand the spirit beside it. And if it's hideous, then don't look at it. It's hideous to you or somebody, folks. Nobody's making you look at it. It's no big deal. Any questions? I want more on the Pope. I didn't come. We talked about Charles last night. If you got any questions on the Pope's comments, real quick. We got about, what have we got here? We're at right at an hour 7. We got about 5 minutes, folks. We got to wrap this up tonight. It's been a long Friday night. If you got any statement anymore, nobody wants to chime in on the Pope tonight, I see. The school situation really bothered me. Leon says, just be thankful King Charles isn't wearing a pink tutu with ruby slippers. Thank you, Leon. I needed that laugh tonight. Leon. If I could find you in person, I'd high five you, brother. At least he wasn't wearing a pink tutu and glass slippers. Thank you, Leon. That puts it in perspective. That's my point. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. The Pope is a Marxist with religious robes. He is. Cleo says that. I'll agree with that totally tonight. We're not suicidal. I just want to tell the Pope that we are not suicidal. We're people of faith, Mr. Pope. Maybe you should get some. And maybe when you get some, you'd understand why we believe the way we do. And I pray you meet the God of heaven before it's too late. And you meet his son, Jesus Christ. I really do. But Catholics, I'm going to say this to you as a close tonight. I'm not saying this to you to scold you. I'm not saying this to you because I'm angry with you. I don't hate you. I love you. But you better listen carefully. You need to go listen to this interview closely. He's not attacking Christians outside the Catholic. He ain't attacking Protestants with that statement. He's targeting you. He's targeting any of you within the Catholic Church that don't agree with his view. You need to chew on that one. You need to chew on that one. You need to chew on that one. Corey, that's a great question. I think he deals with the priests to oppose him. They probably get reprimanded. It probably worse. I mean, they probably get kicked out, excommunicated. I mean, I don't know what goes on in the Catholic hierarchy. I don't really care to, but I think that's a great question, and I think that they probably are scared to. They probably scared to. That's what Corey Aguilar asked. She said, "I wonder what the Pope deals with priests who oppose him on this." I'll agree with that. I totally agree with that. I think, Cleo, you're right. He's setting conservative Catholics up to his denomination as his denomination continues to divide. And I think that's exactly what he's doing. And I think this ain't it ain't the first thing he's ever said that's been this bad. I mean, I found it intriguing that he targeted his own in this interview. Because if you read the fine print of the article, he was addressing conservative Catholics. He was not addressing Protestants, even though he had America in his target. But I hope he understands that we Americans don't feel any better toward him than he feels toward us. I'll just leave it at that. Did you enjoy the McFiles this week? I've really enjoyed being with you. We will be back with you Sunday morning early. We got an early Sunday morning meeting time program. Watch our Facebook page. For the time, I'm going to be visiting my dad's home church for homecoming this weekend. But we'll be here Sunday morning and Sunday night. And we will be back Monday. Ricky Wilson will be with me Monday night, and James R. late probably. We can try to get James on late Monday night, talk about some of these things. Magdalene Rose, Miss Rose, is going to be back with us. She almost called in tonight. I was trying to get her to sneak in and give us a quick call to say hello to everybody and catch up. She's going to be back with me next week. And we got some other guests coming, a special interview. And then we got Dory West Wednesday night on our Faith Chat. Can't wait to hear Dory, what she's got to say, and so forth. Listen, we love you this week. We hope you've had a good week with us and these new shows. And thank you. Thank you for being with us. Please remember, send your giving. We exist strictly on the donations and your love offerings and things that you give us as you feel led to. And you can see this way to do it on the screen. Zelle is the easiest way to do it. chrismac44@gmail.com, patreon.com/themcfiles, paypal.me, cash.app /$themcfiles, Venmo. We are going on K-Star Radio, and your donations will help us there and other places around the globe as we continue our 7th year. This will be 7 years. When we get to the end of this year, we will have been doing this show for 7 years. That's a miracle of God. And we're grateful that you've been hanging here with us, and we still got a decent audience even this late in the game, and we're grateful for it, and we're going to keep going as long as you're out there listening. And we thank you for doing that tonight. May the Lord bless you. We love you. We hope you have a great weekend, whatever you do. Have a good night, everybody. Be blessed out there. If you enjoyed the show tonight, show us a little love, like and subscribe, and put some fire in that house. Have a good night, everybody. Be blessed.